Hi everyone, welcome to analysis compilation number 32, and this is very close to where I live, at the entrance to Aintree Racecourse, and we're going to be watching this red Ford to the right, and my viewer.
You f***ing what you go into my lane? You f***ing idiot! You went into my f***ing lane!
You just cut me right off.
No!
How dare you?
You didn't. No!
You've been taking a shot
No,
at
no,
me.
you have.
Going into the back.
I can't promise that no egos will be hurt during the making of this video. The insurance company of the red Focus picked up the tab for this one, but I think there was many things that both could have done better. Firstly, this is an old bus lane, and not in operation. Next, we need to look at the road layout a little bit further up to find out what was going on and why. The left lane up ahead turns left only into the Melling Road, so the right lane is the one that proceeds ahead. And as you can see, the traffic's quite heavy in the ahead lane, and this is usually the case. So back to where we originally paused, this next junction coming up is also a busy one, and many vehicles turn right from this right lane. And my viewer's using these vehicles turning right as a shield to eventually get into lane 2. But he doesn't do it well enough. The red Ford Focus is not signalling right, but their position is maybe a little misleading that they are going to turn right, and that's what I think happened. My viewer then uses the opportunity to go past. But they don't time it well, and they move across when they're way too close. I do think the driver of the red Focus closed the space down though, and pretty obviously with what we saw in the culmination of the clip, they're highly triggered. Just back off and let it happen. It could have been an honest mistake. But instead they're going to get their vengeance. They've lost their one place and they're going to get it back. My viewer did well to avoid that first cut back in, but I can't understand how they came to crash from this point onwards. They'd already braked and slowed down. But before we get to the collision again, I'd like you to concentrate on my viewer's speed in relation to the white Nissan up ahead. They also closed this space down. We don't need to listen to the confrontation again, but the main point I would like to make is this. Too many people focus on fault and blame. But honestly, if you had any contribution to any kind of accident, you should do much better. And this is where I think insurance companies should change. Does my viewer think that they did nothing wrong? If you do, you're deluded. I'm suspecting you've seen some of my videos on my new car series where I bought Volvo V50, perfect for fitting in my Cane Corso Cali. However, I've decided to give this vehicle away to charity, so it's not going to be kept. So perhaps I'm on the lookout for something else to accommodate my baby.
Come here. Come on. Come on, baby. Oh. What's up?
So after I've chosen what I want, my first port of call would be to get it checked out, and I'd use Car Vertical. That's if I'm buying a second-hand vehicle. If I was buying a brand new one, I don't think there's a need to, but second-hand, absolutely. This Porsche Cayenne might fit the bill for Cali, but I do think it's a bit OTT for a driving school car. However, these reports do show vital pieces of information. This report says that this vehicle has been damaged 5 times. I actually think it's only 3 though. As we've seen before with these reports, certain instances of damage can be reported by multiple parties, leading to an excessive number, but at least we know it's been damaged. The multiple pictures in this report also show to the extent that this Porsche was damaged, and it has had a heavy front end hit. But the previous pictures, interestingly, it doesn't usually work like that. Usually we see the repaired pictures after the damage, but this one looks as though it's had some pictures posted when it's maybe been on sale, so we can see what that car should look like after it's been repaired. So after the main collision in 2020, where it was written off as a Category S, there's very little history about this car, and it's that lack of history that unfortunately would put me off buying this. However, this report's done its job. It's given you that extra information that helps you make an informed decision whether or not that this car's for you. If you use the code Ashley, you can save yourself 20% on checking out your next potential purchase. Thanks, Car Vertical. Yet another clip where we can discuss fault or contribution. Without question, if there had been a collision here, it would have been the driver of this blue car in front's fault. But my viewer definitely contributed. This is the end of the M62 heading into Liverpool, and it splits up into multiple lanes in multiple directions. Why even go past the blue car? And especially now. The traffic's queuing up ahead, but the driver of the blue car's braking way too early to deal with just that queue. It's obvious for me. Stay in a pocket of space while you're braking as well as travelling normally or accelerating. And this situation just doesn't happen. It was just a good job that there was no one else doing the same as my viewer to my viewer's right, else there would have been a collision, and my viewer would have been at fault. This lack of understanding about driving in a pocket of space comes from instructors, in my opinion. I recently saw a clip from an instructor who let their student get right up next to a bus right as the road was narrowing, and it reminded me of this clip. Here I would be thinking this: if the Volkswagen moves away first, I would drop in behind the lorry. If the Toyota moves away first, I'd be very careful, but I'd try and position in front of the lorry, but only if I had enough room to get out of its blind spot. But look what my viewer's doing. And now the road is narrowing, and they've not grown the gap between themselves and the silver Toyota in front, and they're right next to the lorry still. Was my viewer expecting the lorry driver to change pace quickly? You already know what's going to happen. It now looks as though my viewer's missing a left door mirror. It's also totally understandable that the lorry driver's continuing. They probably didn't even spot that, and absolutely didn't feel it. Definitely my viewer's fault, but what contribution would you say that the lorry driver had? Could they have done anything different? It does look as though my viewer was chasing the lorry driver down though. Perhaps they blamed them. Keeping the last couple of clips in mind, do you think there were things that my viewer could have done to maybe reduce risk in this situation? There's one thing I would like to add though: we don't see what's happening behind, and this could affect how you deal with this. Have a look at the traffic bunching up in lane 2. Again, if that car had have collided with my viewer, it wouldn't have been my viewer's fault, but I think they could have done things a little differently. If you're planning far enough up ahead, when someone else doesn't start doing things at the time that you would, you know there's an issue, and this is the key to this clip. We can already see the cars bunching up and queuing in lane 2, so I would try my very best to not go past this vehicle on the right hand side, and when it's obvious that they've not seen the problem, slow down even more. The vehicles following my viewer will be a problem if you see this situation late and don't anticipate well enough. But if you see it early, slowing down smoothly over a longer period is fine. I would be hopefully positively on the brakes at this point, creating as big a space as I possibly can between myself and the grey car in lane 2. If people are still thinking about the vehicles behind, let me just ask this question. Doing the braking in the way that I've just described, is that a bigger or a lower risk than just colliding with a grey car when it swerves into your lane? We are talking fine margins with this particular clip, but hopefully you get the message of what I'm explaining. There's usually stuff that you can do to reduce the risk. Overall, for the average driver, I think my viewer did just about all that they could do. To finish, we've got this video, which was started off with this question. Try and think about contribution rather than fault. And yes, my viewer contributed massively to this. We can all see the flashing blue lights, and this is close to the Houses of Parliament in London, so it's obviously a busy area, even at this time of night. Emergency service vehicles do have exemptions, just don't go into an area that they could potentially use. But my viewer does just go into an area, and they steer to avoid rather than holding back.
It's not happening, bro. Oh, shit.
Oh, are you okay? That was they were going down the wrong way.
Notice the point the finger at someone else attitude, but this attitude is rife amongst many road users. But at least my viewer had the integrity to see whether they had any part in it. However, there's a fair bit of work to be done if you're questioning anyone but yourself in a situation like this.
That was the police's fault because they
I
didn't
know, I
have,
was
they didn't
like-
have the alarm, they didn't have the
I was
sign
like-
off.
Oh, did we not hear them?
No, they didn't have it
It looks
on
like
until
it's
they come
fine.
out.
Keep safe everyone. I'll see you soon.